A German newspaper, they tried to document the number of people who had died trying to get to Europe, because we know of all the numbers that have actually made it, but the numbers that have died. And they came up with 33,293 people. I remember that number just kind of slapped me in the face. And when I looked at their list, they tried to list for each person, like the date that they found a group of people, the number of people they found, the countries that they think they were from, if it was a man or a woman or a child, and where they had names, they listed names. But for 33,000, they had fewer than 1,000 names. It didn't start out as an art piece, and because I didn't really know, it's like not knowing your destination. So I didn't know if it was going to work. I mean, I didn't know if what it was going to look like. I had never done anything like this before or seen anything like it. So I didn't know if it was a disaster. I didn't know when I was choosing paints if I should choose different colors or if it mattered where I placed colors. And it just kind of, it took on its own life. I wanted everybody to have a name. And I had always been saying this was breaking my heart. So I looked up pictures of the human heart, and I decided to paint a heart and dissect it, since it was breaking my heart, to break it apart. And I started adding names. I started with the names that were listed in the newspaper. And when I ran out, I started adding names. I started making my own list, and I was using names of relatives and friends and neighbors, and I came up with people I went to school with, anyone I had interacted with. I wanted names that had a face for me, and I started adding them. And then when I started running out, I started, anybody I met, I would ask them for 50 names. It would have been easier to ask people for $50, I learned, but quite a number of people gave me names. As I added each name, I would say it out loud, because once again, I was trying to honor those people, to give them a sense that they had been loved by somebody and that they had had a name at one time. We just didn't know it, and that their lives meant something. The process of having to paint each name slowed me down, so it wasn't this quick thing, because I didn't want to make errors. That was also part of the honoring, that you're not going to go scratching through. So it would slow me down to take my time. So that's why it took almost 400 hours to do the whole project. And it took about 1.5 years to get it done. I put a lot of tears into it, I would say that. And a lot of times it was to write, the repetition of writing names for, I found I couldn't do it for more than 3 hours at a time. And so a lot of times my hands, my fingers were hurting, my neck was hurting, my back was hurting. And I kind of used that pain as part of the piece, that it was, this whole piece is about pain in a lot of ways. So I think that's what I was adding to it that was personal. The piece has it's truly an international flag, in that the other people who contributed to it, as far as giving me names, were people from all over the world. The people who died, whose names that were documented that are in here, were from all over the world. So yeah, it's this international flag, this flag of humanity. I call this piece "Say My Name," because the intent was to give each person a name, and by saying the name, it humanizes people. It's a recognition that their name is my name and my name is your name, that we all share this. It's trying to find what we have in common. And so as I was doing it as part of the sense of honoring people and giving closure to their lives, I actually said each of those names aloud, and would even spell the name, each letter as I would write it, and then say the name. But just to, it wasn't to create something as formal as a ceremony, but just to, by saying their name, saying that they existed, and that could be me or you or anyone else.